you see what Dell stock did last week? After earnings, down like 7%.
Not pretty. Not pretty at all.
Pretty at all. My question is Dell salvageable?
There's people who are asking that question because, Dell, let's face it, people have caught up with Dell's business model. Everyone can manufacture, if not as leanly, probably more lean than Dell these days. And Dell has not come out with a must-have PC, laptop, notebook, little MP3 player, you name it. They've tried plenty. And they just can't get there.
Dell's still a big player in PCs, but the rough comparison that they've got is with HP. It's kind of like comparing Yahoo with Google.
Right.
That's Dell's rough comparison. HP came out with earnings last week, and they did great. Not only did they sort of beat on revenues and profits, but they raised their guidance for the rest of the year. In Dell's case, not only were their revenues kind of like half of HP's, they beat revenues by $1 billion, but then their profits disappointed. Their margins were down. And it's kind of like a lot of people are wondering, how do you bring in your revenues $1 billion over and still miss on profits?
And miss on profits. Well, HP and Dell, let's think about, they're not in the same business anymore. HP, just by virtue of its scale, is kind of a different category. But HP is a much more diversified company as well. And Dell's trying to get there, and they know they have to. But HP is the largest PC manufacturer in the world. It's got this
largest tech company in the world.
Yeah, it's got this services business, cranking along. Maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but it's doing pretty well. And Dell needs to play catch up. For me, Dell, they bought Perot Systems, which they're still trying to digest. They need to grow their services business. Well, my advice would be to somehow develop a brand like Toyota did with Scion, and I know Toyota's not the company you want to emulate these days, but if they could come out with some sexy brand that doesn't say Dell all over it, maybe they can reach a different audience and take more risks in terms of product and have a shot at regaining some momentum.
It seems like they're trying to do that with Adamo, though they're kind of aiming at the high end with it. When you compare Dell with HP, a couple things for me jump out. You mentioned services. HP got that huge services business when it bought EDS and bought it at a really good valuation, whereas Dell's valuation with Perot wasn't as good, and Perot's a lot smaller than EDS was. Plus, HP now has a software business, which is higher margin. Plus, they still got the printing business, which is still bringing in profits.
Right.
Like you said, much more diversified. How does Dell get there? Well, it seems to me there are two ways that they could possibly do it. One, they got to buy something big. That's tough because Dell's not doing that well financially. So how do they, pony up for something really big?
If your stock keeps going down, it's hard to buy it with stock, right?
Yeah, and the other way is to innovate, create the next iPod. They've got this Android phone coming out, but that's not going to do it.
I know that they have the Dell smartphone we're getting pretty soon, but I tell you, there's not been a whole lot of buzz and excitement about, I'm going to run out and get a Dell smartphone. So we'll see.
Maybe they should slap the Adamo brand on that, and that'll work. Yeah.
Well, the PC industry is actually on an uptick, and HP certainly showed that, but Dell didn't, and we'll see if they can turn it around.
That's TechMate.